and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to Matiang'i TV talk show, the house of ideas. Today, I want us to focus on Fred Okengo Matiang'i, in particular to his second return. Some political figures have been feeling that Okengo Matiang'i ran away because of the tiresome that goes with the campaigns. But he is back again for the second time. Will he go away again this time? Is he now ready to move on with the prolonged campaigns? Remember that the elections are in the year 2027, August. So we have more than 800 days to go. And sources indicate that he has already resigned from his job, and now he is ready to join his opposition colleagues in ensuring that they get into power come the year 2027. But what has attracted me, or what has made me to go online today, is the fact that when he was meeting Kenyans in the diaspora at or in the city of Texas, he did request for 1 minute silence so that they could remember this month, which he described as the Gen Z month. And probably that is why Fred Okengo Matiang'i is now back. What is your take? My question today will revolve on whether Fred Okengo Matiang'i will participate or will march to the National Assembly, because one of the main aim of the Gen Zs is to march to the National Assembly on 25th. Will Fred Okengo Matiang'i march to the National Assembly? So that is my question. You are free to drop your comment and what you think. You are free to give your advice or critique on relation to Fred Okengo Matiang'i in our commentary sections. You are also free to give a like, subscribe, and most importantly, you can as well share. Thank you for those who have joined. Welcome to Matiang'i TV talk show, and today we want to focus on the topic. Of course, many people are surprised because to me, what has brought Fred Okengo Matiang'i is to accompany or to celebrate with the young people on the 25th of this month, because Fred Okengo Matiang'i is a product of the Gen Z. During the last years Gen Z revolution, the young people did advocate or did argue that they wanted Fred Okengo Matiang'i to take over. And because of this, it was actually, one can say that it was to be next to impossible for this day that is waited for by many, a day that no one knows what will transpire, because There are those who may feel that this day will be used by goons, and there are those who feels that this day is a day that when they will celebrate those who lost their lives by, like now Kalonzo Musyoka says that they will march to the National Assembly and press flowers in remembrance for those young people who made it to the National Assembly, and those, especially those who were killed on the process. So if a team or a group of people are fighting for you, is it possible that Matiang'i could be out during this day? Sources indicate that preparations have been made. We are likely to see during that day, we are likely to see the young people all over the Republic of Kenya wearing t-shirts bearing names of different individuals, maybe Kalonzo Musyoka, Rigathi Gachagua, Eugene Wamalwa, Martha Karua, and Fred Okengo Matiang'i. Thank you, DJ Sir Knox, one time. Thank you for your support. Kindly, you can as well like, you can share this live episode so that we can be able to reach many people. Thank you, DJ. So, for those who are coming in, this is Machuka Nyarioko TV talk show. We normally analyze politics like you can never find elsewhere. That's why we call it the House of Ideas. We take just a sample, something small that is political, and try to analyze why it happens like that. And in this case, we want to know, why is it that Fred Okengo Matiang'i has come shortly before the Gen Z's Revolution Day, that is on 25th. And for those who followed his remarks while addressing Kenyans in the diaspora, that is American diaspora, he did request for 1 minute silence to remember the Gen Zs who lost their life during the demonstrations last year. And remember, the Gen Zs are the people who came up with the name of Matiang'i. Otherwise, politically, Fred Okengo Matiang'i was nowhere. But today is very powerful, politically speaking, because of the young people. So, could he betray the cause? But my question is, since many people say that Fred Okengo Matiang'i is very professional, do we expect him to, on that day, 25th, to march together with the Gen Z to the National Assembly? That is my question. Will he march with the Gen Z to the National Assembly? Just give your guess. But what I know has been done by various political and presidential contenders. There will be several t-shirts all over the Republic. Some bearing the name of Matiang'i, others DCP, others Gachagua, others Kalonzo. So it is a day that will be so much. It is a day that will be celebrated, and it's a day that one time will be gazetted, because what happened has never happened elsewhere. It may not be gazetted during these governments, but coming regimes will do that. What is your take? Do you expect Fred Okengo Matiang'i to march to the National Assembly that day? And is that day going to be a very peaceful day than it was last year, bearing in mind 2 days ago when some individuals were, or when the Gen Zs were demonstrating, wounds was sent to disrupt their demonstrations. What is your take? What advice can you give in relation to 25th? The truth of the matter also is that this function will take place. It has been confirmed. The police have already been informed, and it will take place in most parts all over the Republic of Kenya. How different is it likely to be from what happened last year? How is the day likely to be different from what happened last year? Will it be peaceful? Or what may bring about issues of violence? How should this day be celebrated? How should this Gen Z day be celebrated? For them, they say it is their Madaraka Day. Who knows whether in the future it will be called the Gen Z's Madaraka Day. We have the normal Madaraka Day or the Gen Z's Madaraka Day. True. What is your take? DJ, thank you for your comment. What is your take, ladies and gentlemen? Do you think Fred Okengo Matiang'i will participate? Do you think the other principals, Maraga, will also be present? We also have Kalonzo Musyoka has confirmed, of course, he will be there. He will be leading the young people to the National Assembly. And what do you expect, or what advice can you give both to the security personnel and to the young people? What advice will you give to the security personnel and to the young people? Because, and even to the politicians, sometimes, or in most cases, it is politicians who make peaceful demonstrations to be violent. What advice will you give to the politicians, to the youth, and to the police? Those are the parties that will be involved come on 25th. Just drop your comment kindly if you have an advice in relation to what is going to take place on 25th. People have arrived. Okengo Matiang'i has arrived from US in order to participate in this noble, I think I can call it a noble event, because these are the young people who have made Kenya to be different. Kenyan young people are actually making Kenya to be different from most countries in Africa, not in East Africa this time around, but in Africa. Because I saw some comments somewhere today online that it is Africa that is in Kenya, not Kenya that is in Africa. So what advice can you give to the police, to the young people, to the politicians? And the politicians are the most dangerous phenomenon when it comes to demonstrations. You saw the other day, they found groups to attack peaceful demonstrations. Uh, 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 the policemen at some times are never approached by politicians because their work is to be professional in nature. And if there is an approach, it is done through the back doors. There are some policemen who may not know that there is a team of people who have been paid, or a team of police who have been paid to do against the law. So for them, they tend to appear to be professional, but inside them you may find some elements that are doing otherwise what should not be done by a professional policeman. But the politicians, when it comes to politicians, politicians misbehave by funding a group of young people. Imagine, say 1,000 people are demonstrating peacefully, and then 200 people or 50 people are sent to disrupt the peaceful demonstrators because they have been given something to deal with the mandamanos. What do you think will happen? This place will be very chaotic. This is what they do even in the funerals. You know, for instance, when you are not prepared, if, for example, you are seated in a funeral and 3 people appear there with bad intentions, you are likely to be moved away from that funeral by 3 people because of the fear. You will see the 3 people to be 1,000 people who are fighting you. So, for Kenya to be peaceful, and East Africa and Africa in general, those 3 groups must see how they deal with issues to do with demonstrations. If you find the young people to go and fight the rest, know that there is danger. Even your son can be found in those skirmishes because it happens. There was at least a story I had when I was schooling that students in a given university went on strike, and some of them were carrying stones, throwing to the vehicles that were passing by. And fortunately, one of the students threw a stone and hit a car which was being driven by his father. What happened to the son? That was the end of him with his father, because his father believed that, or his father said, this is not what I sent you to do at school. See, now you could kill me. So how should this be done? The police have the responsibility to protect demonstrators. They have the capacity. They have everything that it takes to protect the demonstrators. How comes that politicians watch public gatherings? That's why I'm asking Kenyans who are watching us now to tell us what ought to be done right. Even these goons can also be sent to work peacefully with the demonstrators, and even they are told to throw stones to the policemen so that they can revoke them. You see, once you throw stones to the policemen, they will always act. They will always act. And we have policemen who have been instructed that, of course, they say orders from above, that when you see these people have come together, throw a tear gas so that you bring that confusion and people will start running away. And of course, young people will not, especially Kenyans, will not allow anyone to tear gas them. They will retaliate. What I know, they will, because these are educated Kenyans who are jobless, who are fighting so that at least they can have a good governance. Just at least these are the Kenyans who are fighting for good governance so that at least they can have something for their survival. So the moment a tear gas has been thrown to the young people will always, what I've seen in the past and even the clips that are going around, they will always throw back stones. So, and that becomes my worry. Then what should be done? How should these demonstrations be carried out so that everyone walks his path? The citizens, the young people, exercises their political or their constitutional rights, and the police exercise their constitutional right. But in this case, it appears that the worst enemy of peaceful demonstration is the politician. Those politicians who fund, who send other individuals to go within the demonstrators and maybe throw stones to the police, to go, those who send them to go and steal property so as to make the demonstrators appear to be criminals and therefore bring about the conflict between the police and the demonstrators. What is your take? For those who are joining us, kindly do some subscription, like our video, share, and give your comment. Thanks to DJ, I can see your comment, which is good. Thank you so much for your comment. For those who are joining us now, our discussion, we began by looking at how is it that Fred Okingo Matiang'i, whom we have been seeing walking around in the other parts of the world, that is the United States of America, how comes that he has come now? And because some of us think that he had about 3 months after giving a notice of resignation. But to my honest opinion, I did argue that Fred Okingo Matiang'i came or has come simply because he is a product of the Gen Zs. The Gen Zs are the people who proposed his name when he actually said, if Kenyans want me to serve them, there's no problem, I have to do that. So there was no way he was going to be in that soft life in the United States while other Kenyans are going to celebrate a day of which Murkomen has not told them whether he will provide them or whether he will not disrupt him being the Minister for Internal Security. He has not spoken of anything, whether they should have their day peacefully. And this day, according to many, in the near future, if if the current regime will not gazette it as a public holiday, it will be gazetted, because the events which took place, surely this has not happened elsewhere. Kenyans are actually peaceful. Kenyans are very peaceful. They do something and then the following day they continue with normal life as if nothing happened the other day. You have been seeing the demonstrations going on. They do this today, but the following day Kenya is very peaceful. If it's not for the goons who are sent, and when I was looking at the types of problems that come about demonstrations, goons do not exist. They exist through politicians. So it is politicians who bring in the goons, and this can be private goons or even state-sponsored goons. The state sometimes sponsors goons in different ways through their politicians. You saw what happened. You saw what happened the other day when the young people were demonstrating, or when Kenyans were demonstrating against when young people were demonstrating against what took place against the young man, the mask vendor who was shot. Imagine shooting a person. Even if he abuses you, there is no abuse that will remain in you. If you have a small heart that cannot withstand your employees, remember, citizens are your employees. If you cannot withstand them, then the job that you are doing does not belong to you. Just resign and go away. Your employee will always complain. Citizens will always complain. That's why Rangat should have been in. You should be in. You shouldn't complain when your employers are complaining, because they draw their powers from Article 1 of the Constitution. They have the sovereign powers. Citizens have got the sovereign powers, which they divide to the public through representation, or which can be exercised directly or through representation, and other institutions like courts, parliament, and etc. Mtetezi wa Tanzania, welcome. The Tanzanians are just worried what is taking place in Kenya. Kenya is setting up standards for Africa. Kenya is setting up standards for Africa. That's why mtetezi wa Tanzania has just participated in this discussion. I've seen the Tanzania people wondering the courageous ways how the Kenyan people are exercising their power. Okay, Tanzanians accuse Kenyans as being ethnic. Of course, which is not true. What Kenyans lack is resources. Resources are meager. Resources are on the hands of a few. And when resources are meager, there is that scramble for the meager resources. You will find even in a family, when resources are meager, it becomes very difficult to distribute them equally, because some, even within families, have got big stomachs than others. That one happens elsewhere, mtetezi wa Tanzania. But in Kenya, you have seen, so long as he's a Kenyan, so long as he's an East African, you saw Kenyans come to East Africa to defend, to see that the rules are followed accordingly. Kenyans have been to Uganda and Tanzania, the likes of Mother Karua, to see that things are done in an orderly manner. So Kenya is your bigger brother, and I'm sure this is a political disease that will soon spread to those other places. Remember, even when there was the issue of multipartyism, it started from elsewhere. Kenyans heard that Zambia is now a multi-party country. So what happened? So don't be shocked to see that citizens have now realized that it is them. They are the drivers. They are the employees. A citizen should be given the respect that he deserves. A citizen. That's why sometimes back I had to petition some of the requirements of chapter 6 of the Constitution, because I remember sometimes back, if there is a job opportunity that has been advertised, what happened, before being shortlisted, there has to be a letter from DCI, from ethics and anti-corruption, from KRA, from Metropolitan. There is this institution which deals with, there's an institution which deals with loans, which I can't remember, and another one from HELP. So before you secure these letters, you will find that you have to part with more than 7,000. And traditionally, you could write a letter and on your envelope you just put a stamp of 25 shillings. So that means looking for employment was becoming extremely expensive in the Republic of Kenya. And remember, good conduct, for example, is valid for 1 year. So you are criminalized every year. You are criminalized every year. That means if you didn't get employment this year, next year when you are looking for an employment, you also give another 1K so that you get your good conduct, and that good conduct now is like now saying that you are clean. So when you don't have a job, you are always dirty. Every year you have to show that you are clean and you are a citizen. So now that is largely the disconnect that people are experiencing. Duncan Odhiambo anasema one term kabisa. Odhiambo, I am not sure whether probably you have been looking for a job and they are asking you for chapter 6 requirements. Chapter 6 requirements means that when you have them, you are an angel. These chapter 6 requirements, even the corrupt, those who have stolen the public funds, first are able to acquire them within the shortest time because they use their money. chapter 6 requirements. They have made many individuals not even to attempt to look for employment. You want to be employed, you have to look for KRA that you have to be cleared. You have to return. KRA returns nil. It's as if the KRA is very happy when you show them you have nothing, filing nil returns. They should actually look for a way in which those who have nothing can file, or they can file that automatically. And then citizens are the employers of the executive, and they must be respected. Right? That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. And in relation to our topic, if citizens are the employers of the executive, of the judiciary, of the legislature, why can't they come up with a formidable way of handling them, more especially when it comes to peaceful demonstrations, instead of killing them? This has happened in South Africa. This has happened in South Africa. I wonder how even sometimes reporters are able to navigate the violent situation. There are bullets, there are stones, but they still try their best to come with news from such environment. So, Duncan, if you are not present, we did say 3 ways in which peaceful demonstrations have been disrupted. Said the first one is through the police, politicians, and even the youth. But I did see that the youth in most cases are provoked by the, either you will find that there are wounds who have been sent between them or within them, and those goons will throw stones either to the police, or they will attack business premises, other people's premises. So that, you see, when you are a policeman, there are some things that you will maybe not want to see, like now destruction of a building, a house. So those goons, those normally are never those demonstrators. They are people who are sent and have said in most cases by politicians. Even the police are ever used. Police have no interest of beating the demonstrators, but they are ever used by politicians. So the main factor, the main issue, the main problem here is politicians. If the politicians cannot interfere with the police force, if the police can be left to work independently because they take orders, policemen take orders. If the police can be told that no one should be seen in Nairobi CBD, that will happen. Even if you are a million and all, it will happen. If they will be told that ensure there is totally a very peaceful demonstration, that will happen. Because probably they will line up around the shops and others following and others from the front. So long as there is no stone that has been thrown by those whom I said have been sent to be within the peaceful demonstrators, there will be nothing to happen. The other day when Maraga took a petition, I think it was the National Police Headquarters, it was very busy. There was a policeman who received there that letter, and then they proceeded to read. When citizens have got a petition and they want to pass it forward to their government, and they are stopped, it becomes next to impossible. Citizens don't think twice. They think what they think. There's no second option. They think what they think. That's why politicians should try and understand what the citizens are thinking. They don't think twice. If you frustrate the citizens, they will even vote for a mouse to remove you. Just a mouse. So always try to think, even if you have billions, even if you have what you have, try to think as citizens. Citizens do not want ideas when they are tired. They want a person to listen to their cry. And even if you are a devil, if you come and start crying with citizens, they will think that you are one of theirs. Duncan Odhiambo says that Sakaja wounds in town. Yes, if he does that, if Sakaja brings wounds in town, Sakaja should understand he's a young person, and the present society is different from the Moi era, is different from the Kibaki regime, and it is different from the Uhuru Kenyatta's era. Today, information is spreading like wildfire. You cannot cheat anyone. You cannot cheat anyone. Remember, Gachagua is telling them that for you to listen to Rice, get paid a certain amount of money. So, these people, you may pay them to listen to your Rice, but they will deal with you accordingly. This time, the youth have been blamed that they don't vote. But this time around, it is the youth who will vote. If the youth will not vote, it means there will be no voting, because what we are remaining with are the youth. Those millions of people that you hear or they talk about are youth. The other percentage is too small. So if by 2027 registered voters will be 20 million, it means around 14 million or 15 million will be the youth. You think that 15 million will be out completely of the voting block? That will be next to impossible. And more especially now, when they are able to mobilize themselves to come out in numbers, it will be next to impossible, and the youth will determine what will take place this time. And that's why you have seen Fred Okengo Matiang'i come back to be with the youth during the celebration of the Gen Z Revolution Day. That is the logic behind that. DJ, thank you. Mtetezi wa Tanzania, thank you. Duncan Odhiambo, thank you. You can still continue dropping your comments. We have some minutes. You can share. And for those who are new, You can subscribe. That is very important in relation to supporting this channel. You can like. Liking is also very important. You know, sometimes content creators, they like when you appreciate them. Just by liking, they just feel so happy. So I'm expecting that at the end of the day, after this, I will see some likes. I will see an increase in subscriptions, because we need you people. We need to share ideas, because one kidole kimoja kidole kimoja akifunji chawa, sijui kama ni hivyo. This week is going to be a defining moment in the democracy of the Republic of Kenya. Everyone is looking at the manner in which the police, the youth, and the politicians are going to behave. The truth be said, during this day, the young people will not retreat, and they will go for these demonstrations. They will go for these demonstrations. So, who will bring conflict within these three things? Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you all those who have been watching since we began, and now we are coming to an end. I want to request that you share, you like, and most importantly, subscribe. Thank you, Duncan, Mtetezi, na DJ. Thank you, and have a pleasant weekend ahead. And for us, for more, especially this weekend.